This is Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news, intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversation. 96.9 FM. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
Fed Back from Nahaja Black is sponsored by Cable Bahamas, Rev Trio, Fidelity Bank Bahamas, the Cancer Treatment Centers of America, and J.S. Johnson.
Afternoon, Bahamas, and welcome to the Hit Back. I'm your host, Nahaja Black. It's a beautiful day here in the 242. Beautiful, sunny day. If you can, go out to the beach. Just, if you can, get some sun, relax, enjoy the day as if you were a tourist with no cares and concerns. Remember to take care of your mental health, everyone. We have a good show for you today. Today, we are talking about marijuana, cannabis, right? You have been following it. It's been interesting that it's been in the news. It's not interesting that it's been in the news. I think it's interesting the way it's been received in the news, where there are pros and cons for it. Folks wondering, is it an appropriate time? Is that what we should be focusing on? Who is the legislation for? How can it benefit us? So I'm looking forward to this. Within the industry or have some sort of interest, but are interested in it. We're going to have Naughty joining us, talk show host, columnist. We're also going to have Glenwood Ferguson, who is in the business, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Bahamian, young Bahamian in the business it's himself. Then we're going to have Sherwin Johnson joining us, one of the members of the commission. He'll be joining us, and also CEO of Bahamas Nightlife. So it's going to be an interesting show there. But before we get there, obviously, COVID has had its impact on a lot of us. And whilst things have been going on, life is still happening. And I have, joining us in this segment, I have a young mother who, and during this time of the pandemic, having to deal with her child having and requiring service, needing care, and wondering how best to do it, finding that that care is costly, and wanting the general public. And when I heard the story, I wanted to present that story to the general public, because I think that more stories like this, we can help if we can, all together, taking a village to help. And I wanted to bring her on the show and her beautiful daughter. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to bring on Tahila Pierce and her beautiful daughter. Tahila, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Nahaja.
I can't hear you. You have the phone? No, you have to put it to your ears. I can't hear you. Wait, hold on. Go ahead. That's on me now. All right, try it again. No, we'll have to figure that out as best as we can. Try one more time. Let's see if we have you on. No, but try it again. Okay, so we're having a challenge there with the audio. And so we'll see what we can do on the other side of the break. Hopefully we can get that sorted out. So what that story is, and what we're hoping for, is that she's able to, her young daughter, having some challenges with her sight, multiple operations with her eyes, and being just a little girl. I think what if Ms. Pierce would tell me, she's no more than 5, She's not 5 yet. And she just turned 5 and having had multiple eye surgeries to help her. And I wanted you to hear that story, because it really is a heart-wrenching story, but we'll get her back on as best as we can. So with that said, though, there's a lot of things going on today, and we're going to have Ms. Pierce hopefully before the end of the show to get her on the segment. So we'll have to deal with that by at least before the end of the show so you can hear that story. So we're dealing with marijuana, right? And there's some fascinating things talking about marijuana in country. What does it mean for us? Is this the right time to be talking about cannabis? How does this benefit us? Who is it benefiting, right? Why is the sudden need to push in medical marijuana? Sadly enough, I know someone who I've grown quite fond of. during this pandemic, a part of the Marijuana Commission, a former nurse passing away from cancer whilst trying to help create legislation for medical marijuana. So medical marijuana, cannabis, is a real thing. It's a real thing. It works. And it's helpful, right? The question is this the right time to push the legislation? If not now, when? And these are some of the things that are going to be interesting in this discussion. But before we get there, certain things that I thought this week, which are interesting. The national debate, the second installment of the national debate is on Tuesday. And I will be one of the moderators along with Professor Chris Curry for the national debate. And I'm looking forward to it. The first debate was very entertaining. I think the second one is going to be just as entertaining. And the reason why I say that is because, ladies and gentlemen, you got some big names who are deciding to, big names. I'm serious. You have two of the leaders. I don't know if we could call them, folks might say, well, they're smaller parties. How big can the name be? But I think it's something of note that two of the leaders of the parties will be joining the national debate, okay? And it's going to be on climate change and I'm going to share the screen right now, climate change and COVID-19. And what has been said is that this is the twin-demic that the Bahamian people have been dealing with, the twin-demic of COVID-19 and then the incidences of Dorian, right? So the hurricanes, and now we have the pandemic. So that's why they put them together to call them the twin-demic. I don't know if it's a big deal or not. So COVID-19 and climate change debate, participants debating. We've got Dr. Melissa Evans. Now I'm curious if Dr. Evans, I couldn't recall if she is a candidate and running anywhere. Then we have Lincoln Bain, who is a last-minute addition. Because if you recall, Rashay Sands was supposed to be a part of this panel. Yesterday, there was a switch up in that position. And I don't know why, but Lincoln Bain has now decided to be on the panel. Then you have Dr. Kevin King, that is the leader of the KGM, and Lincoln Bain is the leader of the Coalition of Independence. Then you have Dr. Carneal Farquharson from the DNA. I've had Dr. Carneal on my show before. She's very good. Then you have Dwayne Hyler, the chairman for the Bahamas Constitution Party, and then Charmaine Lindsay from the Bahamas Democratic Movement. So I'm curious, ladies and gentlemen, how this one will go. Will there be fireworks? As long as Lincoln is on the stage, I'm anticipating that there will be fireworks. As long as Lincoln Bain is on the stage, I'm thinking that there will be fireworks. And then you have Dr. Kevin King. Dr. Kevin King, you can't tell him he's wrong. So this is going to be interesting. How will the two female doctors, Dr. Carneal and Dr. Melissa Evans, and in their position as true professionals in the field, right? I think Dr. King is not a medical doctor. So I think the only medical physicians on here are Dr. Evans and Dr. Farquharson, but I do know that Dwayne Hyler, if memory serves, if I'm correct, no, I may not be correct. I actually think he's somewhere in the field, EMT or whatnot. Not too certain, so don't take me to the bank. This is going to be an interesting debate. I'm anticipating not the throwing of a mace, no props of that. Well, that would be good, but I don't think it's going to happen. But what I do believe will be the spirited conversations and what happens at the rebuttal. Will anyone call out? And I'm thinking of the two men, three, because I actually, knowing Dwayne Hyler is not going to sit small either. Dwayne Hyler is going to have something strong to say. Dr. Carneal, I've never met Dr. Melissa Evans. I just recently met Miss Lindsay. I'm thinking to myself that this is going to be fascinating, y'all. Y'all got to tune into this one. That's next Tuesday, 8 p.m. The panelists will be discussing COVID-19 and the climate change debate. Personally, I thought COVID-19 as an economic, the pandemic is an economic issue, so I thought it would have been with the economy, COVID-19 and the economy. But I was told that this is because of that's the name they're trying to coin it as, the twin demics. right? How Dorian devastated one part of the economy, and that's a climate change issue. And COVID-19 also came and devastated the economy and our healthcare system. So I think it's fascinating. Things that you should be listening for in this debate. What I would be listening for in this debate, looking forward to hearing, would be the approaches of the party to something like another healthcare situation. What is the plan coming in? How would you have handled it differently? I don't know if they have the chance to answer those questions. We as the moderators don't have those questions. We won't have those questions until closer to the time. So there are focus groups and all kinds of other ways that they will be asked questions. And Chris and I, we won't be privy to that information until the night of. Other questions that were given to the panelists, we have seen them and we're privy to them. But I'm curious as to how questions will be asked and answered. So I think it's going to be fascinating. I'm looking forward to, I won't lie, looking forward to seeing Lincoln Bain cause a ruckus. Then Dr. Kevin King, feeling as if Mr. Bain may be having too much attention, jump up. And then seeing how the other four, because now the other four, they have to make sure that they're heard. The Progressive Liberal Party is putting forward Dr. Melissa Evans, Dr. Carneal Farquharson from the DNA. These are all persons, the most qualified of persons with regard to the medical side of COVID-19. Then you're challenged with the climate change side. So who on this panel will be able to facilitate a great conversation, a believable discussion on climate change? I can't wait. I don't know about y'all. I just can't wait. I'm looking forward to this debate. It's Tuesday, June 1st, next Tuesday, June 1st. I will be sitting front and center. I doubt there will be mace throwing of any sort. I doubt that there will be, I think these folks will be very prepared. And so I'm looking forward to it. I wonder, what did you think? What do you think will be the response? How do you think it will go? Right? How do you think it will go? So it says, interesting popcorn time again. This is where it gets interesting. Someone says this would be better. Something about reading all the comments. Someone says interesting popcorn time again. Fascinating stuff, right? It's going to be fascinating stuff. So I'm looking forward to this debate. And I think that a lot of us will be watching. I'm anticipating that there will be a huge audience for this, right? Someone says they think that it's going to be lightning and thunder. It'll be something else. It'll be something else. I say watch out for KGM and Koi. Watch out for KGM and Koi. Someone says pow. So will Lincoln Bain bring his pow? You best believe he's going to bring it. You best believe he's going to bring it. You best believe they're going to bring that. They're going to bring it. Oh Lord, someone says that. Oh God, people saying a Macy on his sign and all. This is going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it, y'all. All right, so we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, let's start talking marijuana. Let's start talking about. Someone says the Mace should make an appearance. They're also petty. And I actually think for the new persons, just as a side note, for the new persons, Miss Lindsay, for Miss Lindsay, because again, I'm familiar with Miss Farquharson. I think a lot of you may not be with Dr. Farquharson. I'm not familiar with Dr. Evans, but I've heard good things as well. I was wondering why Cassius, and no offense to Miss Lindsay, I think she'll do great. I'm sure she'll do great. But I was wondering why Cassius with COVID-19 perhaps wouldn't show either. But I think that, of course, the leaders are waiting for the final debate, which will be on the economy. Lincoln Bain and Dr. King will be talking COVID-19. Dr. Melissa Evans and Dr. Carneal Farquharson, two actual doctors, will be talking on this. Dwayne Hyler as well, chairman of the BCP, and Charmaine Lindsay, Bahamas Democratic Movement. It should be fun. I'm looking forward to it. We're going to take a break. When we come back, let's talk some marijuana. Isn't that a song that says marijuana upon the corner? Is that a song? I don't know. I can't recall. You're listening to The Hit Back with Nahaja Black, Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. We'll be back after this.
This traffic report is brought to you by Shield Insurance and Prudential Loss Adjusters.
First look at traffic now, and it's challenging you wherever you're going this afternoon. It will take additional time for you to get there. So many streets in New Providence are simply just crowded right now. This is truly a Friday afternoon traffic flow going on. Roundabout at Tony's Million Dollar and Samalabala Highway, stacked all around. Traveling west on those Tony's Million Dollar lanes into the roundabout, the traffic is back to there on both those lanes extensively. It's a slow ride into that roundabout. And on the other side of the circle, the single lane that comes in from JFK, well, you know you've got a lengthy traffic and slow line there as well. Now, on the north side of that same roundabout coming through the Sports Center, there's your heavy traffic passing the entrance to Millennium Gardens, very slow moving in that roundabout as well. What we're saying right now is while the inner city streets like Wolf Road, East Street, in the north, Mackey Street, and the ride through Marathon have this slow traffic going on, mainly looking bumper to bumper up there, it's no better even over East Street and Blue Hill Road, south of Robinson Road. Those two corridors stacked with traffic heading into the roundabouts ahead and onto the highways are very slow as well. Independence Drive going into the roundabouts on either end, whether it's the west end to Blue Hill Road or the east end of East Street, it's a slow ride. Over the hill on Blue Hill Road, once you get down by the Carmichael Road and Blue Hill Road intersection, again, you're going to meet stacked traffic, giving you a slow ride along that corridor. West Bay Street laden down with traffic. Wherever you're moving at this point, just relax. It's just going to be a lot of traffic. There's Friday traffic out there. And it's not slowing down just about now. This National Traffic Report this hour being brought to you by the folks over at Dr. Danny Johnson and Associates at Foot and Ankle International, who's offering the simplest and safest treatment for painful flat feet. You can visit Foot and Ankle International for relief. They're located in Dean's Lane atop the hill at Port Charlotte. Call them at 322-5402. That's 322-5402 for more info. With your Renner Scan, look at traffic in real time. I'm VANN.
Hello, sir. Your credit card bill is due. Hello, sir. It's time for your monthly loan payment. Tired of creditors pounding at your door? Sign up for a debt consolidation loan from Fidelity Bank and consolidate your debt into one low monthly payment. What's more, you will also earn interest on a built-in savings account. The pandemic has curbed many freedoms, but at Fidelity, our focus is to help regain your financial freedom. Visit a branch or speak to a Fidelity Bank at 356-7764. COVID safety measures in place at all branches. Fidelity, we're good for you.
When I got prostate cancer, my family didn't know if I was going to live. At Cancer Treatment Centers of America, within days, I got an appointment. They presented me with treatment options, and we set up a robotic prostatectomy. When my scans came back, there are no signs of cancer. They don't see you as a number, they see you as a part of the family. I'm going on with my life. That's a real gift.
Call us at Cancer Treatment Centers of America.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
La 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 la, how you doing? Burning marijuana from the corner. You keep me calm, you make me smart. Burning on the highway, it's the highest way. Get into my head. Marijuana from the corner. You keep me calm, you make me smart. Burning on the highway, it's the highest way. Get into my head. At times I bake it, sometimes I'll steam it. I give it to some of my brethren and my sister who use it. It's the king of the forest, Babylon, they don't like it. They chop it up, they heap it up, and then they destroy it. You see, they stick you up, they lock you up, they take it for a crime. When it's the healing of the nation, bet you never know. The healing of the nation. Why? Marijuana, you keep me
And we're back. You're listening to The Hit Back with Nahaja Black, Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Richie Spice, Marijuana on the corner. Listen, and I got my guests. They decided that it's the moment to start dancing. I got three really, I am excited to have them on the show. They're going to add a lot of spice to my conversation today. because I assure you that they're going to come from all kinds of sides, left, right, and center. And each one is not afraid, never scared to say what they got to say. Of course, y'all know a friend of the show, my good friend Sherwin. How are you doing, buddy?
What's up? What's up? I miss you, Nahaja, and I miss you, Bahamas. It's good to be back.
I miss you, buddy. It's been too long.
Yep. It's been a long time.
Listen, and we done.
And you got me back at the best time, though.
I did.
Yeah.
I know you're ready to go. I've got my other good friend all the way from Freedom Farm, looking very farmish and COVID protected. My good friend Naughty. Naughty, how are you, buddy?
Well, I can see you, but I can't hear you.
What? You can't see me? Oh wait, you can't hear me.
He can see but can't hear.
Well, what kind of technical difficulty that is? All right, we're gonna have to come back. And we got Glenwood Ferguson. Listen to this, Sherwin, you're in ready. Glenwood, look like he's frozen for a second there. Glenwood Ferguson is a cannabis consultant, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Bahamian, co-founder. Go ahead, Glenwood, say your piece, boo. You saying something? You want to say something?
No, I was telling you that I think it's the signal. I'm on the turnpike trying to head back to from Canacon.
Well, you trying to talk? You talking and driving?
Traffic.
Oh Lord, yeah, traffic.
No, I'm not
Check
driving.
technology.
I got a driver.
Oh, good. It's good to have you on, my friend. Let's see if my good friend Naughty is back with us. Naughty, can you see us?
Hey, what's going on, man?
There you go.
I'm glad I can see y'all, but I can't hear y'all for nothing. So you got to give me a chance to get this worked out.
All right. Well, let's go. Don't worry. We got you. You hop back in. We'll figure it out. 5 o'clock. Well, actually, I'll send you a number, Naughty, and you can call in. Okay?
Well, he can't hear you, so you
can't
can
hear
send
me.
him
So
a
all I'm doing
message.
is talking to myself. Right now. You can't hear me. Okay. It's good to have you guys on. You're listening to the Hit Bag with Nahaja Black. All right, guys. Glenwood is a cannabis consultant in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Actually, co-founder of a business there. This is his field. Of course, we got Sherwin Johnson, my friend, also a member of the commission, Bahamas Marijuana Commission. The Marijuana Commission. I can't remember what the Bahamas National Marijuana Commission. Right? So it's good to have you both on. Let's talk about cannabis, y'all. We are in a space and time where we're talking about cannabis from a health space. The Bahamas is moving towards legalizing cannabis for medicinal use and purposes. That we are talking about it, that we're going to decriminalize smaller packages of it, right? We're going to decriminalize smaller bits of it. We are going to penalize folks for smoking in public spaces. Mind you, I ain't got no problem with that because I don't like to smell cigarette smoke. I don't want nobody smoking around me.
At all.
I'm not a fan of smoking in public spaces at all. I'm just not a fan. Plus, I'm sorry, weed smells terrible. Okay?
Wait. That's a different one, you know.
That Jamaican breed. You ain't got no terpenes. The flower what you smell ain't got no terpenes.
She only smell those other ones.
You're right, because that thing smells atrocious. Glenwood said, I'm smelling the terpenes. There's no terpenes in good. You know what? Let's start from the beginning. Let's start from the top, right? Give us, for those persons who know very little about cannabis, right? Glenwood, I'm going to start with you because this is you go around, you creating the strain, you doing all of this fancy footwork, right? I only could watch it online. I want you to tell us a bit, Glenwood, about what is cannabis and how can it be used medicinally? What's that market like? Yeah, can you hear me?
Well, yeah. Okay, so yeah, it's a little breaking up on my side, and the traffic and the turnpike with all the cars going. Probably signal's gonna be a little bad, but cannabis I tell people cannabis is a healing medicine, but cannabis is also social change.
Mm-hmm.
See, people don't look at cannabis as all this time. We didn't have time to research cannabis and things going on about cannabis because of the Schedule 1. They made a Schedule 1. But nowadays, we got scientists who've been, in 1997 when Los Angeles went legal, and they started to do more research. People started to understand the medical benefits of cannabis. So you got, I would say, a whole list of different cannabinoid terpenes, different properties in the cannabis plant that gives us the medical benefits to heal glaucoma, to relieve pain from cancer. You know what I'm saying? So cannabis, I just to get to the point that cannabis is just a plant that transforms the mind in a way that just stimulates benefits of all different types.
Transforms the mind, Glenwood. Boy, you know all them Christians I know. You transforming the mind. That's a demon, right, Naughty? But now, Naughty, I can't hear you. Naughty, I can.
It's not a demon when you understand the receptor. You got two type of receptors. You got the receptors that deals with the brain, and you got the receptors that deal with the body.
Mm-hmm. And so it is because of course, you have THC, CBD, right? For medicine, we're tending to look at CBD, right? But that's mostly the metric by which we talk about medicine and marijuana, the CBD side. But I've learned that some medications require the THC as well. Like you're not just taking CBD; it has to include THC. Is that true or no? Can you hear me?
Well, see, that's why I went back to the thing that they're called cannabinoids. I can hear you.
Good.
That they're called cannabinoids. CBD is a cannabinoid. THC is a cannabinoid. CBN is a cannabinoid. THCV is a cannabinoid. THCA is a cannabinoid. CBC is a cannabinoid. All these are different cannabinoids that the scientists are now understanding and finding in these cannabis plants that are being grown right now. And each cannabinoid has different benefits that heal your body in different ways. So you could go to the dispensary and say, "Hey, I got pain, but I don't want to be psychoactive. I don't want the psychoactive feel. I want my body to feel relief."
Got it.
Okay, that means you probably want some CBD. The CBD doesn't have any psychoactive because of the non-THC in it. But then you got different. It's the I would say or the measurement of that each cannabinoid has at, because it's like you could say 300 Fahrenheit. On the Fahrenheit, you got 365. That could be a THCV, but it's at the boiling point of it that gives it that cannabis to active. It activates at that heat, I would say.
So hold on.
Each cannabinoid activates at a certain heat.
Let me ask you this then, because this sounds pretty technical. So this medicinal cannabis is medicine. So it must be treated with that sort of pharmaceutical approach, right? And Naughty, let me see if I can get finally. Let me see if I can actually
technical for the persons in the medical field.
It does.
For the person that just wants help with their ailment medicinally, they just need to know what to get. That's it. Nobody. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Most people are not worried about the levels of the THC or what. Since you don't ask many about your Panadol or your Advil, so for the medical field, it's good for them to know this information, and I'm not saying not to educate people, but the medicinal conversation is kind of boring for a lot of people.
But isn't that the only conversation that's happening right now? Let's see, Naughty, let me ask you, are you good? Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you loud and clear.
Good to see all y'all, man. What's up, Nahaja? What's up, Sherman? Mr. Bahamas
What's up?
Nightlife, Georgia Nightlife, Florida Nightlife, Mr. Nightlife himself.
All that.
And of course, Glenwood, what's good with you? And thanks for the scientific breakdown, Glenwood, because I was never good with science in school. So thank you so much for that. But it's important to me medicinally, Nahaja, because as you know, in 2013, I lost my mom to stage 4 stomach cancer. And I had to go through every step of the way with her with that. And I think one of the biggest things when you're dealing with cancer is the actual holistic medicinal attributes of marijuana and cannabis.
The benefits.
And the benefits thereof, from the oils, from the cooking with it, from everything that goes along with it, the edibles. It definitely can make that kind of situation a lot more easier and bearable. I think that if I had the option to get my mom on medicinal medication rather than chemo, I would have been.
You would have taken it?
Getting her on medicinal, but obviously it wasn't to that point yet. We weren't even having that conversation yet. And more recently, it struck home, and Sherman can attest to this because I lost a real dear friend a year and a half ago in the form of Mr. Richard Bethel, former operator, manager, and part owner of the Jokers Wild Comedy Club. And as you know, he was the one who gave me my start. Sherman can tell you, 23 years ago, he told me, hey, you need to be a stand-up comedian. And because of his inspiration and guidance, this is where I am at today. But to see him go through cancer, stage 4 cancer as well, colon cancer, it was rough. But I was thankful that, some people had introduced him to some of the edibles and so on and so forth, because people were taking those steps at that stage then, because they realized the benefits of medicinal marijuana. And I think it should be legalized, not just here, and passed, but I think in the region, because we're affected by a lot of things that can be treated by medicinal marijuana more effectively than modern medicine. The proof is there.
Yeah, I think what is so interesting with that, and I'm glad you said that the proof is there, right? The proof is there. There's science that backs it up. When we have, and if you're just tuning in, you're listening to the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. We're talking about cannabis. We're talking about it as a medicinal help and aid. Many persons, and we have joining us, sorry, let me make sure I know everyone who's just tuning in knows who's on the show with us. We've got Naughty, my good friend, also talk show host, columnist, one of the premier columns in papers, in the dailies every week. He continues to push the envelope, irreverent, and we love it. Radio show, comedian, columnist. And then we have Sherwin Gardner. Way to go, Sherwin. You sing gospel praise and worship. When you going to church? Let me know, invite me. Sherwin Johnson, CEO of Bahamas Nightlife, Florida Nightlife, all of that good stuff. And also one of the members on the Bahamas National Marijuana Commission. Then we have Glenwood Ferguson, and he's experienced some technical difficulties because he is on the road heading back to Tulsa. But Bahamian businessman, young man over there in Tulsa, getting the work done. He is a cannabis consultant. And we are talking about cannabis and its effect or where we are in the Bahamas. How can it help us? What do you think of the legislation that has been brought to bear, right? And Naughty, you touched on the fact that you have family, close friends who've passed away from it. Sherwin, of course, with the work that you're doing, we're familiar on the commission, even losing a colleague from on the commission who needed just that sort of care and aid. Is cannabis a magic bullet, though? Is cannabis a magic bullet? Sherman, you go.
I'll say this. I don't know that cannabis actually cures or is the potion to fix something. However, I do know that for persons who do have ailments, it's a solution to help them manage and probably live a more realistic life, a better life. Let me say that they would have without the cannabis. I don't know for sure that.
Go ahead.
it makes the way of living a bit easier when you do have something going on. Like I said, like Naughty said, I do know of all of the persons that he talked about. I've also had persons who have lost to cancer as well, and I've introduced some persons to some things as well because I realized that, they don't have to suffer the way they've been suffering, and it's about time we had this conversation. It's a bit late, but at least we're having it.
Glenwood, is because you talked about glaucoma as if cannabis can cure glaucoma, and as someone who you're a part of dealing with strains, you are creating yourself at your company. What have you seen in terms of the use of cannabis with helping certain ailments? Let me see, you have to unmute yourself there. Make sure you're ready to go. Okay, everybody got to learn the power of a mute. Y'all is unmute real slow. There you go, Glenwood. You ready? And then Naughty, I'll have you chime in a second.
I got my fingers crossed.
You're doing better than Glenwood right now. So take that question for me. Take that question for me, Naughty, whilst we wait for Glenwood. Because the concern that I have with all of this is, are we pushing something? Are we pushing something? And this is my concern. Are we pushing something that as some sort of revolutionary thing, as some sort of way that is going to change the way we do medicine, right? Because I gather that all three of you are advocates, and this is why I wanted all three of you on the show, because in some way you're an advocate. I know Sherwin is a realist, right? Naughty, you are as well. I know Glenwood in the business, so he's definitely an advocate. You can't even swing me. I know. Yeah. But are we overselling this? Because that's my thing. Are we overselling this? Because I'm going to bring on doctors and preachers, and they're going to tell me all kind of other stuff too.
I don't think that we are. I just think that, it's just a conversation that we neglected to have. We've accepted what they gave us years ago, that this plant was bad. We didn't know why. It's just like when they tell you don't put mayo in the microwave, you still ain't putting mayo in the microwave because they told you not to. But like I say, we're having the conversation now and things are moving forward. I don't think it's overselling. I just think that because it's relevant right now, especially because so many people are sick, and it could help. We're having the conversation more, and it's more to the forefront. Even my grandmother, and she's listening right now, I could not have a conversation about marijuana with her about 2 or 3 years ago. But when I started to give the education that I was getting based on it, because I'll say this, I've been using marijuana before, in my younger years.
I don't say I have been before. You gotta say I did before, and then I found out it was illegal, and so I stopped.
That.
Yes.
And so when I started to tell her about the benefits and the history of it, and then so she started having the conversation. Then I heard her having conversations with other people about it and how it's beneficial. I was like, oh, Grammy, so we just weren't getting the education behind it because they kept that from us. And
hey, well, my little 2 cents on it is I think the whole description of it way back when in with the CDC when they labeled it a drug instead of labeling what should have been, a natural-based plant. Mm-hmm. They labeled it a drug, so of course it got a bad stereotype from that time. So of course I understand why Sharon's Grammy is a little upset, because that's all they were brought up on that information, that it was the devil's lettuce, it's wacky tobacco, it'll fry your brain, and all kind of stereotypes. Because obviously, the CDC didn't know how to market it, package it, and get it out there correctly. So years later, here we are. But talking on the question that you asked, there are different strains to medicinal marijuana. Mm-hmm. And you take, for example, Humboldt County in California. It is the #1 producer of medicinal marijuana throughout America. That's where America gets all its weed from. Medicinal cannabis is Humboldt County in California. And I'm just using that as one example, but there are others. But in Humboldt County, you can get strains made up that are specifically designed for wasting, related to cancer, related to AIDS, related to anorexia. Mm-hmm. You can also get your glaucoma. You can also get your cataracts. You can also get for pain. If you suffer from pain and you want pain relief, if you suffer from high anxiety, they have strains that actually relieve those symptoms. So there are specified strains that you can actually get to take care of whatever ails you. You just have to do the proper research. Another good example was a young lady, it's called Charlotte Webb. She had a series of seizures, and her parents couldn't find out how to rectify the seizures until they went to medicinal marijuana. And they came up with the proper oil, the proper mixture for her. And God bless, she's still going strong to this day, and her seizures are way down. But that was like, she was one of the prototypes to get it out there that people like jumped on because it was a kid, and they realized there are benefits to medicinal marijuana. So I feel that if we look at a lot of things that ail us here in the 242, especially just look at the cancer, how women especially are affected 4 times to 1 more, compared to more prevalent here than anywhere else in the world. I think that we should always have medicinal marijuana as an option, because not every person wants to go through their cancer treatment with chemotherapy or with Western medicine. They want to be able to have that other option. And if you look at it holistically, it works. I mean, the cases are there to show that like Sherman mentioned, it's a better quality of life, it's less painful, and it gives them an actual fighting chance to keep going, because they don't feel as bad as the effects from other drugs, i.e. chemo. So I think we do need to look at it, and we do need to look at it in a way where we can maximize it. If we're looking at exploitation at some point with medicinal marijuana, we can take an island like Andros, that has vast acreage, and set up proper cultivation for medicinal strains, and then market it correctly around the Bahamas. Bahama Bud.
You're jumping on something.
From Andros, you got some from Abaco, and you got some from Eleuthera, named after them, grown in Andros, but named after the different family islands that specifically reaches out to cancer, AIDS, glaucoma, anorexia, all the things that medicinal marijuana helps with, seizures, epilepsy, so on and so forth, and base them around the Bahamas, market them, package them, make the money, and when we do make the money, put some into what we call a rainy day fund. So when tourism or golden goose ends up hitting brakes because of Dorian or a pandemic or a recession, we have a plan B. So we don't have to stay borrowing all day, every day. We got an option in the rainy day fund of taxation of medicinal marijuana. But personally, and Sherman is my boy, that's why I didn't really beat him up on this, but what's going on with the bill, bro? The bill is lacking. We don't just need medicinal, we need recreational, we need all of that, man.
So don't fight me. Mind you, we saw a preview of some things. Now, I'm like I said earlier, medicinal.
Sherman,
don't really.
One shot at this. This is an all-in moment like poker. You take medicinal, you take recreational, you take the hemp industry, which is $1 billion industry. Do you know how much money they make off cruise ship rope?
When you
$7 billion industry of cruise ship rope alone. Not to mention the hemp industry with textiles.
But I'm sure with
clothing, all that. Come on, y'all dropped the ball 6 times.
No, Naughty, I'll say this, and I can't, without exposing, without exposing too much things. Me and you can have a conversation, but we put some things forward. If you take a look at our preliminary report, it's not only medicinal that we recommended.
Okay,
we talked about adult use. Hold on, listen. We are still not the ones that makes the decisions.
Oh.
No.
We don't make the decision. I'll say this. Me and you are on the same page, and I was about to say, when you were making all of those suggestions, I was about to ask if you ran with the Coalition of Independence so you could become the leader and make that happen. But
listen, it's an all-in moment, Sherman. You got to shove it in all in like poker. You shove it all in, you stand up, and you let the flop come, the river, and the turn, and you see where it comes. But if you stick to medicinal, now only one section of the society has an option with the medicinal thing. It's the same old.
When you see the
interest groups. So therefore, you need to look at all encompassing. What happened to expungement? I mean,
naughty. All of this.
Rating of this prime minister right now, not too high. I'm just saying, if you expunge some records, then people voting for you. I don't care what nobody say.
They've already started actually. They started expunging. Yeah. They already started doing that.
Travel, can't get a job, can't get a proper record because of draconian numbers on the books and laws on the books. It needs to change. You need to have it expunged. And if you're going to expunge it, then everybody who's been charged with it needs to be expunged, record clean, and move forward. A great
Naughty,
model that y'all
if
didn't look at, and I wrote about it several times in my column, was the DC model, the District of Columbia, where you have medicinal, you have recreational, you have dispensary districts that people actually get skin in the game. Because
hold on, Naughty. Let Sherwin put his part.
Naughty.
Go ahead.
Naughty, let me tell you something. Nahaja's laughing because Nahaja's laughing because we discussed all of this. If you check the recommendations of the commission, like I say, it's not only medicinal. We took all of these things into consideration. Like I told him, I'll tell you this, and I said this in the beginning. Medicinal don't really. I'm not worried about medicinal right now because it don't really affect me. It has affected some persons I know and whatnot, and I don't care about the fancy words and whatnot. I was the recreational chair
advocate and chair.
Exactly. No, what I'm saying is, if you look at our document, the adult use portion is there. Now, our leaders, we can't force them to do anything. We can't. If they gave us the opportunity to whatever we said we went forward with, then you would have a different bill going on. But we can't. No, I didn't get it.
I didn't throw no blow your way.
I hope you don't call my name in there.
Huh?
I hope you don't call my name in there.
No, I didn't slap y'all up at all. I threw the rock where it needed to go because it's not y'all. Because y'all did table a lot of stuff. And that's where a lot of the information that came out that got a lot of people excited with expungement, decriminalization, recreational, medicinal, and the hemp industry.
Who was the consultants?
Unfortunately, and I know when you have a consultancy, you take it into the hierarchy, and then when the hierarchy get it, they do this. No. Yes, this is what we want to go on. And right now, unfortunately, what we have, no fault of your own and no fault of the commission, is another scenario where the special interest groups are going to be able to maintain and monopolize an industry that all Bahamians should have a fair stake in, both medicinally and recreationally. And the hemp industry is very important. And it's not just about getting high like a lot of old people. Oh, yo, this one. No.
Y'all just want to get high.
Hey, listen to me. Listen to me. I came to the fact of knowing that these people who saying this, when they was getting high in these days, they was doing other things when they was smoking. They can't just blame it on just smoking.
Let them know.
They was doing
what's it to you for me to get high?
They was snorting. They was doing all of this.
And listen, it was easy to blame marijuana, as the CDC blamed it as a drug and called it a gateway drug because, oh, it led to this, it led to that. Listen, I'm strongly convinced that you can look at alcohol and say it leads to other things as well, too. You can look at tobacco and say it leads to other things as well, too. So I think it was stereotyped incorrectly and labeled incorrectly from the break. That's why a lot of older people are not open to hearing the conversation. But I think moving forward, we have to have
education.
Yeah. Okay, listen, we're going to take a break. We have to take a break, guys. When we come back, I want us to move to the next question. The next step is how do we make the transition from medicinal to recreational, right? Where it is equitable across the board, where we can get people to stop fearing what they don't understand, or perhaps where you guys will say, listen, there are things that we need to get done. If you want recreational, this is the safe way to get recreational, and put forward those suggestions for our leaders to hear us and to say, no, it isn't just about smoking, just getting high in school or the children passing out from eating edibles at school. No, this is adults wanting to be adults. And because, people say this is a vice, man. Y'all want the whole country go down a slippery slope of dope heads. And everybody's go back to that one dope head or that 2 or 3. Some people know 5 or 6 who ain't normal no more. We'll be back after this. You're listening to the Hit Back with Nahaja Black, Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. We'll be back after this.
They lock you up, they take it for a crime. When it's the healing of the nation, bet you never know. The healing of the nation. Why? Marijuana, public cool. You keep it calm, you make it smarter. Burning on the highway, it's the highest grade. Get into my head.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
Good afternoon, Bahamas. You're listening to the Guardian News Network. I'm Taylor Ferguson. Here's what's making news. Thank you so much for tuning in. Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis revealing today his government is now working to fine-tune the components of the marijuana bill to guard against abuse.
And we would have a specific committee to ensure that even the physicians who are involved in prescribing that as a medication go through special training and understanding so that there would be no abuse or mishandling.
A delegation of United Nations officials touring the Carmichael Road Detention Center today. Media representatives weren't allowed in on the tour. Human rights activists have been critical of the detention center's operations, but UN resident coordinator for the Bahamas, Gary Conneal, spoke with reporters outside the gates.
Now, the tour today, I think, was extremely constructive, allowed us to see the amount of effort that's been done to ensure that people are treated well with dignity. It also allows us to discuss with government possible areas where we can help improve, because, of course, as you understand, this is an ongoing process.
Days after Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis delivered an extensive budget communication in the House of Assembly, House Speaker Halson Moultrie is weighing in.
The revenue projections are unrealistic. They are more of what I call a political mirage as opposed to an oasis. If you move down the desert, you'll see something and you'll think it is an oasis, but it is actually a mirage, it's an illusion. The last speaker that had control of this parliament was Sir Clifford Darling in 1985. Ever since, at that time, the national debt was $500 million. Now, since that control of parliament has been evaporated by the executive branch, the national debt has grown to almost $10 billion.
Junkanoo Corporation of New Providence Chairman Dion Miller calling it welcome news. Government has allocated $2 million in the upcoming budget for Junkanoo groups to build their own headquarters. Miller said after repeated assurances from the Prime Minister that there would be more investment in Junkanoo, he was glad to see the promises being kept. Miller said while groups need much more than the $2 million, it is a start.
If we want to progress Junkanoo and take Junkanoo to the next level, we have to ensure that these Junkanoo groups have the proper facilities to be able to do business, keep themselves safe, attract tourists, attract the Bahamian people so everyone can feel safe and a nice, clean, sterile environment. So I'm excited.
That's what's making news. I'm Taylor Ferguson. AP News is coming up next.
Tired of banks forcing you to use technology to bank the way they want you to? Your convenience is important. So no matter what your banking needs, Commonwealth Bank's friendly staff are always available in branch for that personal one-on-one service. But when you choose technology, our online and mobile banking app offers you state-of-the-art functionality. The choice is yours. Commonwealth Bank. Bank the way you want.
Capitol Commission. I'm Tim McGuire with an AP News Minute. 9 Republican senators skipped today's vote on a congressional commission to investigate the attack on the Capitol on January 6th. 2 Democrats also missed today's vote. 6 Republicans joined with the Democrats. A tally was 54-35, 6 short of the 60 needed to take up the House-passed bill. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says Senate Republicans have to reject former President Donald Trump.
Unless people in his own party stand up to him, it's bad for the party, it's bad for those individuals, but most of all, it's bad for the country.
An Iowa jury finds Christian Bahana Rivera guilty of first-degree murder in the 2018 stabbing death of University of Iowa student Millie Tibbetts. His lawyer, Chad Freeze.
We're disappointed.
Tibbetts never returned home after going for a routine run in her hometown of Brooklyn, Iowa. She was reported missing after she didn't show up for her summer job at a daycare center. I'm Tim McGuire.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
I wanna get high, so high. I wanna get high, so high. I wanna get high.
draw. I want draw now. I want draw. Hey brother man, hey what you say? Give me some of your sense. Hey Rasta man, hey what you say? Give me some of your sense. Give me some rhythm, let me dance. A long, long time and it feels so nice. Now I'm really feeling good, and I am in a dancing mood.
And we're back. You're listening to the Hit Back with Nahaja Black, Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. We're talking about cannabis. Ah, Lord, I know a lot of people get a little sensitive in their feelings when we talk about marijuana. Then there's a whole slew. I didn't know, honestly, as I'm having this show, I found this out later, how many people around me really partake in this partaking. And they are suit-wearing brothers and sisters. Okay, shook me. I used to see me thinking, like, what is this? Okay, this is a highbrow thing now. This is like when, you started watching movies and then white folks start taking coke like it was like candy. It's a small thing. That's not cool, for the record. Please, no one take cocaine. Anyways, we've got joining me now, Glenwood Ferguson, all the way on his way back home to Tulsa, Oklahoma. I don't want to say all the way. So he's heading safely. Someone else is driving for him. Glenwood, of course, is a business owner himself in the field. He's a cannabis consultant. He is our resident expert, along with well-versed, naughty by nature, the one and only naughty comedian, columnist, activist for the use of cannabis. What else talk show host? Y'all know Naughty. Naughty is a local legend here as well. And then, of course, my good friend, Sherwin Johnson, CEO of Bahamas Nightlife, Florida Nightlife, Vegas Nightlife, probably Heaven's Nightlife, but I don't know if you'll get in, so we just send up a letter.
I know, but that one.
I got it too.
That's next.
Don't rush to get there now. We will keep you here a little longer.
No.
If anybody could pull it off, though, waiting for you at the pearly gates is Sherwin.
It's definitely Sherwin.
And
listen,
for you too. He was good. He did good stuff, man. Wait for him. Give him a break, man. I know him. I can speak.
When he gets to that gate, you definitely gonna be having to speak louder. I'll tell you that.
Oh.
But it's good to have you all on, you gentlemen all on. We're talking about, of course, marijuana, the legislation, and the question of what's the way forward, right? I want to ask some things before I get to the question of, how do we get our general public to view this as something that is helpful, not hurtful? There are some concerns, and I think all of us are aware that locally there is that pushback. I mean, the church is still pushing back on this very firmly. And as a body politic, that the country is definitely one where our pastors hold a significant influence. How would you gentlemen speak to the church, not in a way that is, degrading, because that doesn't help? What sort of come to Jesus moment speech would you have about it from a scientific
scientific. Nothing scientific. Don't speak on something you don't know. That's it.
Thank you.
Don't speak on something you don't know.
I mean, assume that they don't know. Pastor David tell you he smoked himself into oblivion.
No, but yeah, him smoking still doesn't mean that he knows.
Well, he doesn't endorse Naughty. Go. Let me let Naughty go.
Well, listen, what amazes me, right? And hello to everybody on the Christian Council, especially those of you who see me every other week at Dunkin' Donuts East Street South on the live remote for the Breakfast Club. I told you this morning I might go here today, but I'm going to go here today. I appreciate the fact that the Christian Council will voice its opinion on legalization of marijuana, on certain movies they don't want anybody to see. And then after that, they go quiet on certain other issues that are common in society. So I'm just pitching with the same conviction that they like to interject in the marijuana bill conversation, that they interject with other social ills that are going on, not only in society, but in the church. So, remove the beam from your own eye before you start casting aspersions elsewhere. I'm just saying, lobby with the same conviction. And maybe you should do the research. Maybe you should understand all the components that go into it. Because sometimes when you jump up and the church jumps up, I often have to wonder, wow, are they worried about their tides being affected? Because that's what it seems like right now. Will this affect our tides? Because if you're there for the benefits and all encompassing, you have to look at the medicinal side of it and the benefits, as well as the social ills. Be objective about it. Not just focus on the social ills, focus on the benefits as well as the social ills, and then come to a happy medium where we can extract the best solution moving forward from both sides.
Why wouldn't a religious leader? Why wouldn't a religious leader want a congregant who's suffering to have treatment that can possibly help them?
And do you feel as if the church was really against medical marijuana? I think that's
they're against the word marijuana.
Well, right now, the way the stance they're taking toward the bill, it doesn't specify. It just seems all-encompassing. We have a problem with this.
With marijuana.
But you need to specify what you have a problem with and break it down in a little more detail than just the broad strokes you're hitting it with, because that leaves a lot for, interpretation.
Let me ask Glenn, but let me ask you this question. From from what you gather and when you're creating these different strains and all of that stuff with your work, when you go into the labs, let's talk about the medicinal side. Really, I wanted to drill down into that, right? Where is the line when something has moved from medicinal to recreational? What is that line within that product? Is there a marker where you say, well, listen, man, the THC count in this is so much higher than the value of the CBD that we are now in a truly recreational use? And is that something that can be monitored and something that can help, assuage some concerns?
Well, to say potency, let's start off by saying potency. Medical cannabis is always going to be higher than recreational cannabis. You're going to probably get for recreational, probably between 19% THC around that level. When you got cannabis, medical cannabis around 31%, at 28, anything above like 26%, that's that great medical cannabis, good medical grade cannabis. So you just dial it in, and you get different dosage. You get when you say how we would move from from medical to recreational, it goes to say that on limitations and regulations, you gotta have regulation. You got to, because although cannabis, no one has died from cannabis. There's still ways that you could feel away and you just conk out. You're gonna be good, but at that time you don't have no control. So there is a way that we understand dosage, because as a say a new patient comes to see me, hey, I'm not gonna prescribe anything reckless like 500 milligrams, even down to 100 milligrams. What I'm going to say is, hey, why don't you just try this 10 milligram gummy? See what this do for you. So it's always down to the science and the understanding of the body, because each body is different in its own. Each of us has an endocannabinoid system. Every single body has an endocannabinoid system, which in the cannabis plant produces the same molecular shape as the endocannabinoid system, which details what I was telling y'all about this earlier. The receptors, the two receptors that we have, which is the brain and our body. So when you say head high, you say body high. Different, each one that stimulates our appetite, the way we feel, the way we look at things, all these different things from that different cannabis plant. But I did some research, and I started to understand that even down to black pepper. Black pepper has terpenes and cannabinoids in it. Regular fruit that we eat day to day has the same medical benefits as cannabis. So wow. I mean, once people understand that if you have everybody has an endocannabinoid system. You can't bypass that. I don't care what your doctor say. Who don't know? Everybody has an endocannabinoid system. Once we understand that, we could go forward in knowledge and understanding the plan much better.
I'm glad that you brought it up. A lot of people didn't know that. When I learned that, I was shook, and that helped to explain why it has such an effect on each individual differently, right? And of course, the potency, the greater the effect. Why for folks who are dealing with chemo, right? How it is able to, help them. How it's able to just deal with glaucoma. Now, I have to ask this. You said something, Glenwood. You said when a patient comes to you. And that's an interesting word, patient. Are you a physician?
Well, you know what? I got the name Dr. I got the name Dr. Wood from, I got people who came to me from me just understanding what the plan is, because I study strains. Once you study strains, you can help people direct to the ailment that they are needing it specifically for. So it's always, we call it strain specific. So you got, Dergamata, and Durban Kush. You could find them in Africa, the region of Africa. They're a land race. That's a land race strain. Dergamata helps with loss of appetite. You see, each strain has a medical benefit that helps each and every one of us. So when a patient comes to me, I'll be like, listen to me. How you trying to feel today? Tell me what you need. That's the first thing. That's the first thing I'm going to ask you. Tell me how you trying to feel. What's happening with you right now? The same thing the doctor tell you. It's like you going to the physician right now. You say, "Oh man, my knee's hurting." What he gonna tell you? He just gonna give you a regular opioid. What he feels like is going to help you out, which is man-made. Let's go back to that again. Man-made. So, when someone comes to me and I say, you know what, tell me how you feel. It's not because someone went in the lab and just hit up a bunch of powder and crush it together. Also, some of their drugs do come from plants. I must say that too. Some of them, no. But the different cannabis plants that help each and every one of us. Everyone has a specific plan for each body, each ailment.
I think
go ahead.
I think the pushback with marijuana, cannabis, weed, whatever they want to call it, is the fact that people just think that people just want to smoke it. There are so many other ways that you can get the benefits from cannabis. You understand? So when you hear medicinal marijuana, if you're not a smoker, they're not going to force you to smoke. If they say this can help you, they're not going to tell you, okay, you have to sit down and smoke 2 joints a day. It's not going to happen like that. You understand? And I think it's our own ignorance, because we don't educate ourselves. We go based on what we hear somebody else say, and that happens straight across the board with everything. We take the opinions of others and we run with it and make it our own, instead of educating ourselves on things. Like he said, and a lot of persons wouldn't even understand it when they heard him say gummies. You understand? There's so much different ways that you could have these things, just like how you have the Flintstone vitamins.
But just
you understand?
If I could just make a point real quick, though, not to cut you off, Sherman, because both you and Glenwood made excellent points about the medicinal portion. However, just touching on what Glenwood said, and I wrote a column on it a couple of months back, America is now going toward medicinal options and medicinal marijuana forms of treatment because of the opioid epidemic in America. And a lot of people are treated with opioid-based painkillers and medicines after surgery, after visiting a doctor, and they get over their ailment, but weeks later, they find they're still addictive to the opioid-based prescriptions that they're on it. Medicinal marijuana offers a way safer option, which is healthier on the body and does not have the addictive propensities as the opioid-based drugs. So you have to look at it. In this part of the country, we use a lot of American drugs, opioid-based drugs. We need to get away from that as a society, because inevitably, we're 10 to 15 years behind America. Here comes our opioid epidemic later on down. And if you notice, and you're in society with some of the kids are messing with today, they're leaning toward those kind of things, which is horrible stuff, which is like drugs.
Horrible.
Let me ask you guys something. I want to, because this is where it's interesting to me. There was a walkabout one time and we were asking questions about, marijuana, people's thoughts and ideas on marijuana. And stopped by a house. And my walk was in Elizabeth State, stopped by a house, spoke to a young man, and he said, yeah, man, I've been smoking weed since I was 9, right? And so we were asking him a few questions. He said, I don't see nothing wrong with smoking weed. So one of the questions was, do you think that young people should be allowed to, smoke weed, right? And he said, yeah. 14, 15 should be fine. So then we said, well, what would you say is if the science or if scientists have said that because the mind hasn't fully developed, that the use of marijuana, anything under the age of 21, some say as high as 24, is not recommended, that mind should be fully. And he changed his mind. He said, you know what? Well, that makes sense then. Probably we'll go to 21. Yeah. I asked him, does he feel as if he's addicted? Does he think he's addicted? Because he talked about how often he smokes weed. He said, no, wait, sorry. He said, yes. No, sorry. He said, no. I'm trying to remember now. He said, no, he's not addicted. So I said, okay, so you can stop anytime you want. And he said, yeah. I said, okay, well, would you stop tomorrow? He said, no, I've tried it too many times. I can't stop. So that was the conversation. And so he stopped and realized and said, well, I guess I am addicted. Would you say that marijuana is addictive? If the young man at this point at 30 has been smoking since he was 9, says he's tried to stop and could not stop, well, many would say that's the common
addicted. Addicted and abuse I think is two different things.
But if you look at Uruguay and the model that Uruguay set up when they legalized medicinal marijuana and recreational marijuana, they did intensive surveys and studies beforehand to see what it would affect the younger generation. And they went with 18 and over. And they did studies and it proved that when they legalized it, the usage didn't actually increase, it decreased.
It dropped.
So there was not an increase in usage by young people. It was actually a decrease. And 18 was the age. They can get X amount limit. I think it's an ounce that's legal. Anything over is illegal. But I think you should look at it in those kind of lights. If it worked for Uruguay as a model, you have something that actually works and proof within their society that it didn't have an effect. Now, I can't say that we'll have the same results because like those endocannabinoids, everybody's zone is different. So we may react to it as a nation different from Uruguay reacting to it, but Uruguay at least put it out there as a blueprint that we could use.
Yeah, and my question was, just as a note, my question isn't, hey, because I think that also when something isn't deemed, where you're saying, oh, don't do it. And you're saying, okay, you can do it. That appeals to do something when to young people is different. It changes, right? Oh, don't do something? I don't know what it is, boy. But
I definitely want to try it.
We're going to do this, right? But my question
Nahaja, is... I got friends, they message us now. They're listening in the car while they're partaking, not in the country because it's illegal. just putting it out there. They say it's not addictive. They do it because they want to do it,
But my question is though, is it addictive? The young man then says he thinks that he's addicted. Can someone become addicted to marijuana?
You can become addicted to Coke soda?
I've been in the entertainment industry a long time. Okay? And I know some people who are in the entertainment industry that's a part of their mantra, that's a part of their pre-game or post-game. They tend to use it. I've seen it have no effect on some, where it actually enhanced their performance and had no effect. And I've seen it have not really a negative effect, just like nothing different. You're still the same. So to each his own. But I think that the people are now, especially in the entertainment industry, looking at it as part of. You look at the rap industry. Look at Jay-Z. He just bought the largest supplier in California. Prior to that, look at Mike Tyson out there in Nevada. $420 million he made off the Mike Tyson Ranch, which is cannabis featured, which is everything theme-based is cannabis. So you have to look at it where it's going. People are now embracing it recreationally as they are medicinally. If you look at Amsterdam, they have the Cannabis Cup every year. They have the World Hemp Festival. So you have to look at the world and how they're embracing it and where the world's moving. And then if you look in the region, Jamaica's dragging its feet, can't get its feet out of the mud. Aruba, Cayman, same thing. Why not us be prepared to maximize that opportunity?
Virgin Islands.
But all of them dragging their feet.
We have the perfect opportunity because the world expects the islands to have the best of marijuana. When people come, they ask me, I don't know if I look like I sell it, but they expect us to have the highest grade.
I've had somebody ask me on the plane too, like just random.
We can market that so well.
I was like, hey, oh my God, you're from the Bahamas? Where's
oh my God,
where can I get some weed? And I was like, what do I look like? Do I look like I sell weed? Like, I was offended just to see me like,
it's just like cool. They think it's just
it's just because the Bahamas is known. I mean, it's an island nation, so they say, the island have the highest grade.
But it kills me to this day. Sometimes I walk down Bay Street and they'll mistake me for a tourist, and I still get it. Hey, buddy, you want something to smoke? And I'm like, my buddy, roll out. Everything. Sorry, but I didn't know. It's just allowed, but people are still. It's part of society, Nahaja, and it's part of the tourism industry as well. And there is marijuana tourism. There is medicinal marijuana tourism. There is recreational marijuana tourism. Huge opportunity.
We don't say recreation anymore. We say adult use.
Adult use. That's what it's called.
Recreation sounds a bit.
And I want to read this text before you go because I know, Sherwin, you have to leave. And I want Glenwood and Naughty to hear this. It is addictive, same way alcohol is. It depends on each individual person's body chemistry. Most can handle it, but some can't. I don't know if it's as addictive as alcohol. I don't think so.
That's why I was going to say, anything you overdo, anything you do too much of, I call a sin. So, I mean, it's your regulation of your body, knowing your body type. Know how much you can consume, not getting too one and just psychoactive. Because I could say that, hey, I smoke in the morning. I might smoke by lunchtime to gather appetite because I've been working and I probably went over my lunchtime, so I don't have an appetite, and I probably have to smoke to gather my appetite. Then I know for sure before I go to bed, I'll either eat a gummy or I'll probably eat an infused edible, a cake.
Glenn, but you sound addicted, man. You sound addicted.
It's not addiction. See, I'm just telling you the different methods of cannabis.
Yeah.
I'm just choosing the different methods of cannabis because I have it
to my ability.
Exactly.
And you know what? We're going to talk about the different methods of it, the medicinal side of it, the distribution of it, because you and Glenn, when I'm touching on this, because you keep saying patients, but we know that with our bill, it's going to be with pharmacists.
Yeah, but that's my question, Nahaja. Pharmacist, I mean, what is it? Are we going to those to fill a prescription?
Yeah.
Then we get a half ounce and some Excedrin, some beer, and
hold your thought. Deodorant. When we come back, because I want to talk to that.
That to me is opening up a lot of questions as to who's really going to be controlling that portion of it.
We'll be back. Hold that thought. You're listening to the Hit Back with Nahaja Black, Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Let's move to the next side of it. The bill itself. What are these gentlemen's thoughts on the bill itself? You're listening to the Hit Back. We'll be back after this.
In life, there are always challenges. Today, we find ourselves having to be more self-sufficient, socially aware, and technically savvy. At J.S. Johnson, we are committed to our customers by providing cost-effective insurance solutions. No matter what your insurance needs, we will always be here for you. Call 397-2100 or visit jsjohnson.com. J.S. Johnson Insurance Agents and Brokers, giving you peace of mind.
When I had got prostate cancer, my family didn't know if I was going to live. At Cancer Treatment Centers of America, within days, I got an appointment. They presented me with treatment options, and we set up a robotic prostatectomy. When my scans came back, there are no signs of cancer. They don't see you as a number, they see you as a part of the family. I'm going on with my life. It's a real gift.
Call us at Cancer Treatment Centers of America.
Imagine. That's where every advancement begins, with an idea that things can be different, better, now. Imagine a world where your entertainment experience was all about you, your style, your show, at your budget. At Rev, that's what we've imagined. To join the conversation and learn more about the future of Rev TV, visit us at rev.bs/imagine.
Preparing for a hurricane can make all the difference in safeguarding the lives of family, friends, and neighbors. By knowing what action you should take, you can reduce the effects of a hurricane disaster. Get all the facts of the potential of having insurance, impact-resistant windows, home emergency power, essential supplies, and a lot more before the storm. After the storm, where to purchase building or cleaning supplies, waste disposal, medical care, and more. The Nassau Guardian's Hurricane Guide will help you make sure everyone knows what to do in the event a hurricane approaches. Take advantage of this double insertion opportunity, plus 15 commercials on Star 106 hits. Contact us today at 302-2300. That's 302-2300, or your account executive. Will you be prepared?
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
Pass the dutchie on the left hand side. Pass the dutchie on the left hand side. It a go bun. Give me the music, make me jump and run. It a go done. Give me the music, make me jump in the dark. It was a cool and lonely, breezy afternoon. How does it feel when you got no food? You could feel it 'cause it was the month of June. How does it feel when you got no food? So I left my gate and went out for a walk. How does it feel when you got no food? As I passed the dreadlocks camp, I heard them say, how does it feel when you got no food? Pass the dutchie on the left hand side. Pass the dutchie on the left hand side. It a go bun. Give me the music, make me jump.
And we're back.
Give me the music, make me looking at the dance.
We're talking about marijuana, y'all. I didn't, you'd be surprised how many marijuana songs you got. How many cannabis songs? I mean, I actually do like Stitchies a lot. And obviously you got the classic one, Draw, right? But how many songs you got? Y'all been smoking a long time. Bob was seeing the 3 little birds on his doorstep, and I tell you, it wasn't even birds. It was like 3 rocks. I'm just kidding. Let me stop. It ain't that kind of show today. It's good to have you guys joining us. We're talking marijuana. We got Glenwood Ferguson out there in Tulsa, Oklahoma, young Bahamian professional in the field. We've got Naughty, professional, ain't young no more. Naughty done crossover.
Hey,
right?
I'm like
Need
Kobe Bryant,
spiritual
baby.
Singing.
Bino, baby, Bino. I'm like Mamba. I taking over for Kobe, R.I.P. Lord. Bino, baby, Bino. Say it, Nahaja. Bino.
Vino.
Thank you, baby. Thank you. That's what I'm talking about. Vino. R.I.P. Mamba. Who you calling old?
So I didn't say old. I just said you was crossing over. You ain't as,
No,
Glenwood is the young one.
I tend to look at myself
Young man,
as
young.
a seasoned veteran who's been voted to multiple All-Star games by both the fans and the managers. So
I just don't know what to do with you. That's why I love you, Naughty. You make your Naughty just tried to de-age himself.
And I did.
You did. Good job, buddy.
I stopped at 35.
Well, I won't tell you what age I stopped at, and yet it still is telling what's going on. I can't even lie good anymore.
But
all
now,
right.
Let me ask you real quick. Who's your producer today, man? Is it Kermie or is it Wally?
Arlie.
Oh, Artie. Well, I thought it was Kermie or Wally, but big up to Artie, man, on the musical You Passed the Dutchie. Wicked song right there. Big tune, man. Big tune. Big respect.
Big tune. I told them to find that song. Thank you. Just let me don't take Arlie credit, yeah? Let me mess around with Arlie.
Big up to Artie, man.
Listen, we're talking marijuana. Cannabis, the way forward for us here in country. All right. So folks were saying, Marijuana Bahamas, Valentino Elliott, shout out to Marijuana Bahamas. They have been
put up Bob.
Say Bob.
That's
what
his
we call
nickname,
him.
Bob.
All right. So I want to ask this question here now. There are a few things within the bill itself that I thought were interesting, and I wanted to get your viewpoint on the bill itself. Sherwin had to leave, and he's also a member of the Marijuana Commission, but he had to leave as well.
How coincidental?
Say again?
I say, how coincidental he needs to be taught the bill.
Thank you.
Right.
Medical use. All right, let's go. All right. Some interesting things here. Let's start with first the types of licenses, right? The authority may grant a cultivation license to allow growing, harvesting, drying, trimming, curing, or packaging of cannabis. An import license to allow for the import of cannabis seedlings and cannabis cuttings from any country in which it is lawful to do so. For the purposes of paragraph C, which is next, paragraph C, an export license to allow for the export of locally cultivated cannabis, cannabis materials, cannabis products, or medical cannabis to a country to which it is lawful to export, right? D, a manufacturing license to allow for processing and manufacturing of cannabis materials, cannabis products, or medical cannabis. E, a research license to allow for the conduct of scientific research relating to the development of medicinal cannabis. And F, a transport license to allow for the transport of cannabis, cannabis materials, cannabis products, or cannabis or medicinal cannabis in the Bahamas. I wanted to get from you guys these types of licenses. Do you see anything wrong with them? Are they appropriate? Are they all the ones that you need to have, and concerns with them?
Oh, they are all, but there are one. I would say they're missing one. And
What's the one?
You gotta have the lab tech. You gotta have a lab license.
Tell me about it.
Test. See, I haven't even heard it being even announced in the bill. Nobody's talking about the testing of the cannabis.
Wouldn't that be in research?
Yeah. No.
Okay.
At all. Research is you trying to understand the different plant matter, the different properties in the cannabis plant.
Mm-hmm.
Testing is making sure that it's safe for the consumer. So you got to understand that cannabis has different pesticides harm your body. That's why so people, I catch on to it. I started to study it, and I understand that. Hey, back in the day, it was my family members or people who I know have been smoking what they would say grass, which has probably pesticides, all type of was grown the different way, wasn't cured the right way, still had water in it. All these, it didn't flush properly. All these different things that they probably didn't do the right way that made it so harmful to their body, that made them feel the way, drowsy or not feeling the way they want to do these different things. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of mind-boggling when you try to understand that everything sown that has THC, any cannabinoids, anything in it, it has to be tested. Whether it's cream, whether it's the butter, all these things has to be tested.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm glad that you said it, because then it shows that there is a process of vetting. There are standards to this thing, right? So there is a need for the standards. I'm curious as to what you guys thought of entry when you listen to the bill. And Nadia, I want to get your thoughts on this as well. The ability for everyday Bahamians to enter in. And I was supposed to look into it. I think the licensing fee is pretty high. But is it fair to be that high if we're talking about something like this, or is it too high?
Well, to be honest with you, Nahaja, I think you're looking at the cultivation license. I think that's what we're referring to.
Yep.
I think it's $10,000 to get a cultivation license.
Yep.
Now, Glenwood could probably speak to this. In the States, they have a lot of co-op marijuana growers. Meaning 10,000, they get 10 guys together, everybody put up 1,000, somebody got a piece of land, and they start growing. They have their greenhouse, and they get into business.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a good opportunity, that kind of act, to kind of clean up the neighborhoods, because you got a lot of guys who right now sell marijuana illegally, but if they had a license like that, they could come together, grow it, get a dispensary,
This is what it's for.
and produce it on their own. And those
social
guys
change.
And turn that into a living, turn that into a job, turn that into entrepreneurship, and provide some jobs. And now they have an opportunity, and they will be more than glad to pay whatever taxation comes along with these efforts to maintain the business.
Yes.
So I think it's a good thing, but you have to have Bahamians, everyday Bahamians like you and Glenwood and me and Sherman with skin in the game. Because if you pass a license that says, hey, you got to come up with 10 grand to get a cultivation license, then you need to know what else you need. It can't be continuing to move the goalposts or continuing hurdles. It needs to be out there in the open. These are the requirements. If you meet said requirements, you can get a license. But you can't make the requirements that, that unjust. It has to be a level playing field. You can't have the requirements, leaning toward the side of the haves and not of the have-nots. It needs to be objective, it needs to be fair, and it needs to be a level playing field, because I think there's ample opportunity for all Bahamians, whether they be in the special interest group or the everyday group, to make money off of the marijuana industry if it's handled and done and introduced correctly.
Now, you wanted to add something to that, Glenwood, or are you good?
I mean, it's so much to add on that we are not understanding. That's why I go back to this, to how even the Marijuana Commission Board was even formed. This is what I try to understand, all these things happening in our government. But I commend them for doing it. I commend them for getting started on it. I commend them. And hey, but the thing is, you cannot have people try to control this industry and you don't know nothing about this industry. We are going to suffer if we allow that. So much things that we don't understand that cannabis is tied to, that we are going to miss.
Give me an example.
I mean, you got let's say banking. I heard Mr. Bo talk about banking, about why he didn't think it shouldn't be happening right now. Listen to me. If we sit down and wait for America to finally decide on federally legalizing marijuana, we'll be stuck. Why we have to worry about our dollar going down if we're gonna make the money and generate the money coming in? Why we gotta worry about that? Listen to me. America is gonna federally legalize it. No matter what, it's gonna happen. They can't duck it. So if we sit and wait for them to do it, we gonna miss all the low-hanging fruit.
But now
all the low-hanging fruit.
You got to look where it's going legal in the United States. You got New York City, you got Florida, you got Georgia, you got Indiana, you got Chicago,
Boston.
I mean, major metropolis.
New Jersey, New York.
Yeah, they're all.
Texas getting ready. Texas actually legal right now.
And hold on, when you look at Texas in America getting into the marijuana and cannabis industry, that speaks volumes. But how about
Louisiana, Arizona?
It's not just the United States. Do you know that the Queen of England instructed the Church of England to invest in the marijuana industry?
Say that again?
The Queen of England instructed the Church of England to invest in the marijuana industry. Medicinal marijuana. Yes, sir.
I didn't know that. So I didn't know that. That's deep.
Opportunity for people to make money. And if the haves are looking at it, that's fine. And y'all gonna make your money off it, that's great. But let some of the have-nots get into the industry as well, get into the field and make some money, especially here at home.
Let's talk about that. What are some of the bigger challenges that you guys have with what was presented? And I touched on pharmaceutical regulation, right? Where it stays within the realm of the pharmacists, the doctors, and then the Prime Minister had to come back and say, we're going to have dispensaries, right? And so I'm confused a bit by that coming back, right? I am confused a bit by the coming back and saying, okay, well, we did that X, Y, and Z, and now we're going to have dispensaries. And I'm wondering if they understand everything that they're saying, or it's just happening haphazard. Glenn, would you go?
Listen to me. I go to this point. Pharmacies hate pharmacies. They hate cannabis. They hate it. And everybody knows it. So when the bill started off with that, I was like, what? I say, this gotta be us. You know what? This gotta have something to do with money. That's all I could think about. I mean, you want to put cannabis in the pharmacy hand? The ones who feed off opioids, who feed off these pills, who make all this money. All this money off it, and you want to give it back to them for them to have control over something that is for my body, that is naturally grown in the ground, that I could do myself. I don't have to go to a lab and watch somebody with all these big machines and produce these pills for me. No, I could do that myself. So even I felt the way when I saw them not even having where we could cultivate our own plant. I said, how can we even understand? They said they want change. They want to decriminalization, aid it. Sorry, but I mean, to the point that if you want to take all the stigma, if you want to run away from all of this, you got to give it back to the people. You got to. That's the only way we're going to change. You got to give it back to the people. Why can't I grow my own medicine? I got sorcery in the back of my yard. I got lonely leaf in the back of my yard. I got a lonely tree what I boil.
Yeah.
I got all of these plants grown in the ground. Why can't I grow my own cannabis plant?
That's a great question. That's a great point. You want to say, Naughty?
Yeah, well, a couple of things real quick because my battery getting low, so let me get them in. A couple of things I had issue with the bill. First and foremost, the Rastafarian community. It was brought up to them that it would be part of their religious sacrament, that have an opportunity to grow it. Mr. Richmond McKinney, my good brethren, he's been expounding on this and lobbying for this for years. And I think that was left out, and that was a glaring omission.
That was a devastating blow, I thought.
Yeah, we talked about my good brethren, Bob, earlier from Marijuana Bahamas and the fines. I think, there's a gray area. Is it medicinal marijuana that we can have 2 ounces up to, or is it marijuana in general? And then if you find somebody for having 2 ounces of marijuana, it's $500. That's way too exorbitant. People can't pay those fines right now in the pandemic and what we're going through. If you look in the region, it's $187 in St. Vincent and the Grenadine for 2 ounces as a penalty. In Jamaica, it's $5. So why are we doing it at $500? That makes no sense. That needs to be looked at. And then finally, another person that got overlooked, Mr. Terry Miller, my good friend from Bakari, the Bahamas Cannabis Research Institute. He's a major, champion and advocate for the hemp industry. And that is a $1 billion industry in its own right. And that deals with manufacturing products through the hemp plant. And they overlooked him as well. So I think they have to look at all those areas that they neglected. The recreational side of it, the religious side of it, with the Rastafarian community and folks who use it as a religious sacrament. And then those who want to get into the textile, into the manufacturing portion of it with the hemp bill. So they omitted 3 things that they kind of put out there, along with decriminalization and expungement of records, that they took into consideration what the commission brought to them. And in typical this administration fashion, took 1 or 2 things that they wanted, threw the rest to the side, and presented this to us like, hey, this is some great world-changing bill. It's not. It's lacking. It really is.
Do you think, gentlemen, if you're just tuning in, the Hit Back with Nahaja Black, Naughty, and Glenwood Ferguson, do you think that there is, that this bill, like you said, Naughty, it's not, you would say that it's not revolutionary, that it is lacking. What would it need if there were 1 or 2 things that you would say, if that's all I could get right now, right, I want in this bill, what would it be? Naughty, I'd let you go first.
But I want it all. I already told you this is an all-in moment for me. I want legalization of medicinal and recreational marijuana with the proper guidelines. I want expungement of records. I want decriminalization or up until a fixed limit that you can have up to this much without being penalized, and then have penalties beyond that, which is only fair. And I'd like the opportunity for Bahamas to have some skin in the game when it comes to the licensing.
Yeah,
it can't just be the same old. So yeah, I want it all.
First of all, I think the penalties are. I think the penalties are already too high. Start off with that. I mean, it is reckless. It is reckless. But I want to be able for patients and consumers to be able to grow their own flower. I think that's fair to everybody, that they should be able to lease, even if it's 4 plants. If it's 4 plants, we see what people got to understand is going back to we coming from trying to recover. Everybody's trying to recover. Why when we go to the dispensary to go spend my money,
Well, you done off
I
on
got
the wrong
something.
foot. Because you're going to the wrong chicken joint, man. You're going to Popeyes. You need to go to KFC, dog.
Hey, hold on. Don't mess around. Popeyes and KFC, I love them both. Naughty?
I'm the brand ambassador for KFC, so shameless plug for KFC. Pick up the KFC.
Listen, and I'm the grandmaster of both. You don't plug nothing extra.
I hope you feel guys
By the
both
way,
this season because the Cowboys can be good. Make sure I shout out your hubby and put a little respect on the Cowboys' name in your house this year, Nahaja.
Ain't never happening. Ain't happening.
Anyhow, don't worry. We can make that happen for you.
Let me ask you guys this before we go. There's a concern that I have with the bill, right? And my concern is pretty much that, hey, okay, even if we're talking about medicinal or decriminalization, that's the thing, decriminalization, right? They're talking about decriminalization. You could walk around with up to 2 ounces on you, and if you don't have a medical card or whatnot, you're still allowed. We'll fine you, give you a ticket, and you move on, right? The fines are pretty high. But my question is, are we not fueling the black market with just those few ounces that are? Cause my thing is, where are you getting it from? If it's illegal and it's not medical, where are you getting that 2 ounces from? Because, ladies and gentlemen, all that does now says, well, I get less penalties. I'm not going to jail. So I think you're fueling the black market with that space, making it worse, rather than just saying, let's regulate adult use, get it under the guise of a poor government leadership, but at least then it is not illegal and you're not causing the rise in the black market. Am I crazy for this thought, Glenwood?
Well, not really, but there is a kind of like a 50-50 to that, I might say.
Okay.
You know, because you got the people who are in the black market, and let me give you this history. My business partner, he was never found with it. But he was convicted back in 2001, probably around that time. But now he was able to now transform all of that, being convicted for marijuana and now being a dispensary owner. He's now being a dispensary owner, given a chance to redeem himself for something that he was healing his body, something that was enabling him to get on to a better day. And now, I mean, I can turn around and say, I'm finally here to the store. I finally made it to the store. But like, it came to life. Something that he went to jail for, he's now being able to help other people with it.
Yeah.
And that's the whole benefit that we want. We want people who have been criminalized for it, people who know that it was beneficial to their body, it helped them with that pain.
Let me get Naughty before his battery dies, and then we'll have to go. Naughty, go ahead.
Real quick, that's why we need medicinal and recreational. If you have recreational legalized, you eliminate the gray area for the black market, like you said. And those same black market salesmen now will not have to go that route because they can get their licensing. They can open up their recreational dispensary, pay taxes, which goes to the bottom line of the government. They make a profit. Everybody's happy if you do it correctly. That's why we need medicinal and recreational to be legalized. That way you eliminate that gray area of that black market that could actually become very vibrant if they don't look at it correctly.
All right. Last word before I go. We got 60 seconds. Naughty, last word. What would you like to say to the government? You've been saying it for a while. All the chips.
All the chips, we shoving it all in. Please deliver on what you proposed and you let the marijuana commission present. Listen to your commission. They did a good job. You had some good consultants on there. They listened to the people, and you should, in turn, listen to them. Because if you don't get this marijuana bill right, this marijuana bill is kind of slowly going up in smoke like this administration. So if you want to do things right, you need to get these things right and deliver on the things that you promised. Don't let this be like Freedom of Information Act take forever to get here. Don't let it be like the spy bill that you said you was going to abolish, but you actually passed first day in office. Please, get this one right. Shove it all in. Medicinal, recreational, sacramental for the religious people and the hemp industry. And I think we got it covered. I'll make sure everybody happy. Everybody get a skin in the game that way.
Yeah, I agree. Glenwood, real quick, 30 seconds.
Well, all I gotta say is to the government, listen to me. Let's work together. Let's work together. That's all we gotta understand. This industry right here, we are family. Nobody's against each other. Because everybody's at ground zero. So what I'm telling to the government right now, hey, I'm willing and able, and I'm ready to go. Cannabis consultant, let's go.
All right, I love it. All right, guys, thank you so very much for the time. Glenwood Ferguson, cannabis consultant, Tulsa, Oklahoma. Naughty, not by nature, just naughty all the time. The one and only host, columnist, comedian, my good friend, and of course, Sherwin Johnson, who was joining us. I want to thank them and appreciate the time that they've shared with us and talking about this. I hope that everybody, it's something that you learn. Go and learn and look up the endocannabinoid system in your body. It's fascinating to know that it's there. There is science, a lot of science behind this thing. And the use of marijuana medicinally is definitely a wonderful thing. And I think that it's something we can look at. And I think the gray area with between recreational and medicinal is going to be that gray area that concerns me the most. Hence why that might be the thing that pushes us to having to really consider recreational, regulating, making it work. But interesting points brought to bear. Everyone have a great day, a great weekend. And let's see what you think about it. Let's start doing a poll. I'll put up a poll. What are your thoughts? You're listening to The Hit Back with Nahaja Black, Guardian Radio, 96.9 FM. Everybody, take care. We're out.
Pass the dutchie on the left hand side.